Welcome to Pathways. I'm Stephen Bettles. On today's interview, I'm speaking with Sherwin, and we're talking about emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as EFT. Welcome to Pathways, Rod.
Yes, Steve.
Now, emotional freedom technique, it's a relatively new term. Can you tell us all about it?
Oh, okay. EFT has been around for about 10 years, and it's just now starting to get more and more well known. It actually evolved out of thought field therapy, TFT, which many people have heard of, and it's a lot of the assumptions in EFT were actually questioned and tested, and from that EFT came out as a much more simplified and sometimes more effective treatment.
And in regards to the history of emotional freedom technique, obviously there's an implication, there's emotions involved in that process.
Sure.
Who discovered it, and how did they get it to the point where it's now sort of a modality?
Okay. Well, the founder of EFT is known as Gary Craig. And Gary studied TFT as well, but because he's got a Stanford engineering background, he's coming at it at a very different angle than an average therapist or psychotherapist. So with his engineering and scientific background, he tested all the assumptions. Is the order of the points important? Is the algorithm important? And what he found was that using a set of points of 7 to 9 points, you were getting the same results anyway. And you could shuffle and deal the order and still get the same results, and sometimes even better. So simplifying down made it easier to teach, easier for people to use, and a lot less time consuming as well.
So when you're talking about these points, what exactly are you referring to?
Yeah. We use acupressure points using the same meridian system that acupressure uses, but no needles. So it makes people a little bit more comfortable. Yeah. But the acupressure points are, located on different points on the body, and it's just a matter of tapping on them with the fingers. They think there's it's getting your focus on those points, but also B, there's the tapping is sort of putting energy in those systems in a physical way. So it's putting energy in those meridians, and balancing the meridians is what actually clears emotional issues. The foundation statement for EFT is that the cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system.
Okay.
So whereas we have a thought, my cat was run over, just for an example, and then you feel depressed. Well, actually, I'll use a better example. How about somebody walks to the edge of the cliff and looks over. One person can look over and go, oh, yeah, nice view. It's all right out there. Another person look over, oh, no, I'm afraid of heights. What's going on? Yeah. And it's the difference in the reaction is the disruption in your body's energy system. So you can actually tune into that emotion, being fully tuned into it, tap on these acupressure points and clear that disruption. And they usually find that people who have cleared, say, a height phobia or something like that, it doesn't make you stupid. You won't walk up to the edge and go, I could fly, But you actually tend to have a lot less fear than the average person then, if, for example, it was a phobia that you treated. Yep.
So people have an emotional experience of a kind, and somehow it shuts down the meridian pathway in the body.
It disrupts it. It's like a TV being out of tune. So there's all the static going through the TV. That's a disruption in the energy system. And tapping on these points actually tunes in the TV until you get a clear picture.
So you actually teach people where to tap, how often to tap.
Yep.
You give them tools. Can you sort of take us through that process a little bit?
Oh, okay. It'd be good if I could use an example here.
Yeah, sure.
Is there anything you'd like to work on at the moment?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Apart from, a little bit of, the last couple of months has been quite stressful with kids and things like that and family, so,
okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit fatigued by that. Do you look for body
conditions,
symptoms of the body?
Physical pain, there's two components to physical pain. There's an emotional component, and there might actually be something mechanically wrong. So, back pain is so common these days.
Yep.
And
definitely got back pain.
It's amazing because they've done heaps of x-rays, and something like 80% of people with back pain actually have no mechanical reason. There's no vertebrae out, no damage to the spinal issues.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of people who have spinal injury don't actually have the back pain. So more and more they're realising this emotional component needs to be treated as well. Like if I treat somebody with a headache, a client I had not so long ago came in with a headache, and on a scale from 0 to 10 it was a 9. She was really suffering. She said, I've got this pain in my neck and I think it's causing my headache, slept the wrong way or something. So we did the tapping, got it from a 9 down to a 3, and there was a lot of family pressure, financial issues and stuff going on, and got it down to a 3, and I said, right, now go and see the chiropractor. She went and saw the chiropractor, one adjustment, done, headache gone. So dealing in on both components of the issue, both the emotional side and the mechanical side, you get amazing results.
Do you actually go in and investigate the emotion or the cause of the emotion, or you just say, right, the body's reacting, or the person's say for example, if they've had a trauma about public speaking, and they refuse to attempt public speaking because of a past experience, do you go through the history of that event, or do you just sort of say, no, let's just go through the tapping points and go through and tap them?
It's very much an unlayering process. You might come in and say you've got a pain in your shoulder or something or other. The first thing we'd tap on would be, even though I've got this pain in my shoulder, we'll do a couple of rounds on that. Sometimes it goes away, that's it. For public speaking, it could be 1 or 2 rounds. Oh, now I'm comfortable on stage, not a problem. But then again, there could be some trauma or deeper emotion associated with it. And fine with EFT, it's an unlayering process. So you might just tap on this pain in my shoulder, and the next thing pops up is goes, oh, that first came up when I got fired from my job, or I was arguing with my wife or something. Oh, okay, so we'll tap around that a bit more. And we might end up, on a high school, you're told to give a talk at school, which seems to be the reason that most people are afraid of public speaking, is because we're being ridiculed in school. So you get down to that point, and then you can clear that out. And then we also make sure you go and test it. So I'll start confronting you or something else like that, or we'll find a way to really test to see if we've got every little aspect of that issue.
So is there several hundred points across the body you tap? Is there 2?
It's 7 to 9. The ones we use, and there are actually points all over the body you can use. For the sake of simplicity, the cool thing about EFT is the mechanics are very simple. The actual art of delivery is getting to the core issue if there's a real emotional issue going on, and also making sure you address every aspect of the problem. But yeah, just for example, the points are, there's 1 at the top of the head, there's 2 on the inside of each eyebrow, there's 2 on the outside of the eyes, under the eyes, top of the nose, under the nose, chin point. There's some in here called the collarbone point, which is a bit trickier to show. And then 2 on the arms. The kids love this one because you look like a monkey. And then you have cross wrists here. There are 1 or 2 other points that you might use for different things, but generally that's the standard stuff. There's 2 other points we use on the bottom of the hand and on the chest. But I mean, that's 11 points in total. So it's not a complex system to use. Once you've done it, 10, 20 times, you don't even think about it. And we do it from top to bottom simply because that's an easy way to remember it.
That's interesting, because when people get a bit stressed out, they'll get their hands across their whole face. And, so it's interesting. Innately, people do it.
Definitely. You see people stressed out doing this sort of thing. And I've caught myself doing this as well. Just leaning on my, what am I doing here? So it's something we naturally do. Even just drumming your fingers on the desk, there's meridian points all along the edge of your fingers, which are helping in that calming. So
there's like emotions, there's thousands of them, probably, and I guess psychology can categorise them in particular ways, but how do you as an emotional freedom technique practitioner look at emotions? Do you categorise them, do you?
No, well that's one of the interesting things about EFT. It's a universal healing aid. We've sort of been brainwashed in this society of needing specialisation for everything. If you've got a pain in the back, you need to go to a back person. If you've got a pain in the shoulder, there's a shoulder specialist out there. Or, and it gets really ridiculous. There's left nostril specialists or something like that, And this idea of having one form of treatment that can handle a wide spectrum of things, people just are still having trouble with. That can't be right. It must be something different. So, and emotions like depression, anxiety, grief, phobias, fear of snakes, flying, whatever. Fear of driving on the highway is one that people come in with. So that's the emotional side of things. And it's not only negative emotions. It can also be, peak performance. Everyone knows the difference between the top athletes. They've all got pretty much the same skills. The difference is just up here, mentally, what the difference is. So they could have a belief that, like for a golfer, I always flub it on the 7th hole. I don't know why, but I always do. So that's something that's wired into their system. And using EFT, you can clear that out as well, and get significant shifts.
What about things like relationships? I guess people have do people come to you about relationship issues? Because people, in my old days of coaching and counselling, women would always go into the same types of relationships, and I guess men do have those patterns as well. Are they emotional codes, would you say? Or
the patterns, exactly, as you said. Yeah, I mean, most of our intense emotions tend to come out either around money or relationships. So those two, trigger things.
Yeah.
It's amazing getting couples together in a room, and one person will be tapping while the other person's telling their story. So all the barbs that might come out of what they're saying are actually being neutralised by the tapping as it's coming about, and then vice versa. And then you might actually get one partner tapping on the other partner, and you're connecting their energy systems at some level we really don't understand yet, but the shifts can be just incredible. And it can also be deleting that history of in a relationship that I always choose the wrong man. Okay. One of my earliest clients actually came to me and she said, I'm never going to find the perfect man. And very shortly we got back to the part that, of course, her father had left her mother, and her mother said, no man's ever going to be good enough for you. Okay. So I spent a bit of time clearing that. Within a very short time, blokes started showing up in her life that she just hadn't noticed before.
That was a blockage. We're going to go to a break now, Rod.
Okay.
So this is good stuff. I'm speaking to Rod Sherwin, and we're talking about emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as EFT. And after the break, I've got a little bit of lower back pain and a bit of shoulder tightness, so I'll get that. We'll see if that's an emotional cause, and I'll get Rod to work on it. So stay tuned, and we'll continue after the break.
Cool.
Welcome back. I'm speaking with Rod Sherwin, and we're talking about emotional freedom technique, or EFT. Now, before the break, I guess we talked specifically about meridian systems and the tapping on those particular points. But can you give us an idea why you were drawn to emotional freedom technique?
Oh, okay. I've actually been working with the Anthony Robbins organisation for about 6 years and trained in a lot of the techniques that he used in getting significant shifts in people. So I've got a fairly good grounding in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And I found I was getting some results with that, even in my own life. And then when I came across EFT about 2 years ago, it was sort of like, exponential shifts in a lot of things that I hadn't been able to use with NLP.
Okay.
And I find that NLP is also fairly cognitive, very much in your head, whereas EFT, even if you can't think of a particular reason for that emotion, you can still clear it. You don't have to get very technical. I had been, working at Tony's seminars, helping people do these shifts, and it was the only times I really felt fulfilled. Okay. And I was only doing this 2 or 3 times a year. And I just thought one day, I don't only want to be doing something that's fulfilling 2 or 3 times a year. I want to be doing this for a living. So that's why I decided to start my own practice based on EFT.
Now, when people see you, because you do one-on-one consultations and group sort of work, but I'll talk one-on-one first. What's the difference between, say, seeing you from an EFT point of view as compared to, say, another modality?
Okay. Well, probably the way I've designed set up the whole practice is quite different to your average practice. A lot of people, it's an hourly appointment. You come in, they tune you out, come back and see me again and again and again. I work on results-based, and I only see 2 or 3 clients a day, and I'm not watching the clock because we're on a results figure. We've agreed a figure up front. So you'll come in, I might make you a cup of tea, we'll sit down, you can tell me about what's been going on. First consultation, I'll actually find out if I can help you or not. And I have no problem saying, that's not something I can help you with. So I'm not going to string you along and charge you for stuff if I really don't think I can get a result for you.
That's excellent. That's it. And in regards to like that one-on-one session, you sort of say, for example, people want to stop smoking. Okay. You actually have there's a set fee for that. The people might see you 1, 2, maybe 3 times until they've resolved that issue. That's quite unique. Yeah, well, I mean, you shouldn't have to pay if you're not getting a result. That's what I'm thinking. You can go on an hourly rate, but that's sort of the thing I dislike about an hourly rate is it rewards incompetence. If it takes you 6 sessions to get a result, why not just pay a fixed fee? And I guarantee my things, you either get a result or you don't pay. So I'd prefer to that, if I can cure this, it'll cost you this much, however little or however long it takes. So you're paying for the skill involved. I mean, I think everyone's heard the story about the engineer who fixed Federal Express at some point, that he went in, all the machinery in this massive warehouse had stopped. And it took him 5 minutes. He went in, pulled out a hammer, tapped one spot, all the machinery restarted again. He hands the bill to Fred Smith of Federal Express, $10,000. Fred Smith is going, what's this about? Can you itemise that invoice for me? And the engineer's going, well, $1 for hitting that point, $9,999 for knowing where to hit. So you should be paying for the skill involved, not for the time it took. So it's really resolved. Now, I've got a little bit of lower back and tight shoulders and neck and things like that. So What's the process?
All right. What I'd ask for the viewers is that... Yep, okay. What I'd ask for the viewers is that if you have any physical pain yourself, tap along as we do this. EFT has this amazing concept called borrowed benefits, where anyone who actually has the same issue or a completely different issue, tapping along, saying what we're going to say here, will probably get a result as well. So tap along at home and focus on whatever your issue is. Use the same words that we're going to use here, and I'd love to hear if you get a result on it.
Okay.
Cool.
So what do we do? Or what do I do?
Okay. So tell me a bit more about where the pain is or what's going on.
Oh, well, I sit down at the computer most of the time, so doing the mouse moves and lower backs, and don't really have a very good ergonomic chair, so lower back is quite tight.
Yeah.
Shoulders and neck tight.
Okay.
And it's annoying because I feel restricted.
Sure. So on a scale from 0 to 10, is there one particular area that feels...
Oh, lower back.
Lower back.
Probably about 5, 6.
Okay.
In terms of pain.
All right. Okay. So focus on that point in your lower back, and we're just going to start off tapping this point on the bottom of your hand.
Which hand?
Doesn't matter which.
Doesn't matter.
It's a very forgiving process, EFT. You can do it wrong and still get it. You can still get results.
Yeah.
So tapping on here. So, and just, even though I have this pain in my lower back, repeat after me. Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
I choose to relax it.
I choose to relax it.
Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
Even though I have this pain in my lower back.
I choose to accept myself.
I choose to accept myself.
Okay. I'll explain a bit more about why we use this particular point after another round. And the first round usually takes a bit longer because I have to explain other points. But after that, it's a very quick process to go through it. So the next point is tapping on the top of your head. And that's this lower back pain. It's actually about, the centre of the top of your head, the crown of your head.
Okay.
And just say this lower back pain.
This lower back pain.
Next one, in between the eyebrows, start of your eyebrow.
Yep.
So this back pain.
This back pain.
On the outside of the eyes, on the bone.
This back pain.
Yep. We usually use 2 or 3 fingers because that way you don't have to be exact about hitting the point.
Yep.
Under the eyes, this back pain.
This back pain.
Top lip, this back pain.
This back pain.
Under here, under your chin, this back pain. Now, normally we would tap here on the collarbone, but because we're wired up with mics, it'll cause all sorts of disruptions. And this is a good example of...
My whole face is buzzing.
There you go, it's shifting and doing interesting things. But we won't actually use this point. It's one of the interesting things about EFT. Like I said, very forgiving process. So if you forget one point, it's not going to cause the end of the world. So we won't tap on this collarbone point. The next point we'll tap is under here. And it'll be about where your nipples come to the side of your body. So this back pain, keeping focused on back pain, yeah. And finally, this back pain.
Back pain.
Okay, so take a deep breath in. So if your back pain was a 5 before, has it changed, shifted, more intense, less intense?
It's more relaxed. It'd be about a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more relaxed.
If you fall off the chair, we're in trouble.
Yeah. But before I felt that I was really working hard to sit erect. Now it's like I can just sit. My posture's different. I feel it.
Okay. We'll do one more round and see if we can just reduce it even more. So, again, tapping on this point. Even though I still have some of this lower back pain.
Even though I still have some of this lower back pain.
Even though I still have some of this lower back tightness.
Even though I still have some of this lower back tightness.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
I choose to release it.
I choose to release it.
I choose to relax it.
I choose to relax it.
This lower back pain.
This lower back pain.
Okay. And this time we'll use slightly different phrase. So this remaining back pain.
This remaining back pain.
This remaining lower 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 back pain.
It's always good when people stumble because it usually means something's shifting. This remaining lower back pain.
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 And again, we'll skip the collarbone point. This remaining lower back pain.
This remaining lower back pain.
And this remaining lower back pain.
This remaining lower back pain.
Okay.
It'd be half of 1.
Okay.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it's just through shifting.
And I'm sure there's some people that have been watching that they've probably got some sort of benefit from that as well.
I'd love to hear from it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's one of the benefits,
That's amazing.
working one-on-one, we can get really in-depth. Oh, sorry, talk more about what you're feeling.
I'm buzzing.
Oh, okay.
My body feels as though I'm buzzing and I feel quite light in my lower back, where before it was like I felt heavy, like pulled down to the ground sort of thing.
Okay.
And now I feel a bit more relaxed about it.
And all we've done is this silly-looking technique where you tap on a few points.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I like the concept about smoking. So there's obviously a different series of suggestions or affirmations that you use to go through that process.
The wording would change.
Yep.
The mechanics don't. The mechanics are the same regardless.
Yep.
The difference between doing this yourself and an advanced practitioner would be, I might take shortcuts. I might go, right, tap there, there, and there. Right, we're done with that bit. We'll move on.
Yep. Yep.
The other thing, bringing up smoking, I mentioned I'd explain about why we use this particular point. There's a concept called psychological reversal. I mean, I think everybody's done the thing where I'm going to give up smoking or I'm going to go to the gym, and then 2 weeks later they've slid back to their old behaviour. So the big word for that is psychological reversal. Tapping on this point here, on either hand, and other points on the chest, can actually stop that reversal. So people come in saying, I want to lose weight, I've tried everything, what's going on? And you can actually check to see if they really want to lose weight, whether they're psychologically reversed or not. And this clears that reversal. Same with smoking. Like smoking, especially with the nicotine, it actually causes that psychological reversal. So you can continue tapping for a couple of days as the nicotine leaves your body, and you'll find you'll very quickly shift away from craving the cigarette.
Now, we're running out of time, but you also do group work.
Yes.
That accelerates the process, does it?
There's a different energy. One of the things about tapping by yourself, sometimes you're not getting results. You start tapping with someone else. There's an energy in 2 people and in more people. And just like we've done with the physical pain, you get a group of people all working on the same thing. One person who's afraid of public speaking, the others have probably all got similar issues or were traumatized or something like that. Everybody can relate to what's going on. We're all human. So you will get significant shifts in those group settings. And sometimes it's a cheaper way of approaching it versus a one-on-one session. Yeah,
good stuff. So at least you've got one-on-one and you've got groups, which is brilliant. And how can people find out more information about emotional freedom technique? Okay, the primary source of, for me, is a website called Tap4Health, and it's tap as in tapping, the number 4, and health.com. So www.tap4health.com, and on Melbourne phone number 0393481524. Good stuff. Hopefully you get plenty of phone calls. It sounds like fun, everybody tapping away.
It is. I will be organising teleconferences as well, so it's not always a matter of having to be in Melbourne. I can do this as a telephone conference.
Oh, so you can do it as a telephone conference with somebody and just teach them how to do it over the phone?
Yep, definitely. Brilliant. Phone consultations are easy.
Good stuff. Well, thanks so much, Rod, for coming on Pathways. I've been speaking with Rod Sherwin, and we've been talking about emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as EFT. So thanks, Rod.
My pleasure.